Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. So, want to discuss with you, I've had some questions about, so I want to discuss with you printers, printing your photos and getting the best quality out of a printer. So, I've got three big reasons why, if you're looking at choosing a printer, you want to go with a pigment ink printer versus a dye-based printer. And the first is longevity, archival longevity of the inks and how they're going to look. A lot of the pigment-based inks are rated for 200 years plus. If you look at the Wilhelm Research Institute data, you can see that a lot of the pigment-based printers, such as the Epson 3880, which is what I'm looking at, or the Pixma, I believe it's the Pro 1, is one of their flagships now on the Canon side. These are pigment-based printers. They use several different inks. I believe the 3880 is up to 9 or 11 now, and they're pigment-based. So rather than being dye, which is kind of like, you could liken it to like a diluted juice, versus the pigment is like drops of encapsulated color there that's going to sit on top of the paper that you're doing your image on, versus the dye is going to sink right in. So it's almost more like using an oil-based paint or something like a painter would use than a watercolor perhaps. I don't know if that's a good comparison, but it might give you an idea. In any case, the pigment-based inks have much greater longevity. You could even be down to a matter of months before you get color shift and fade and things like that that you don't want to see on a dye-based printer. You're not going to get that on a pigment-based printer. Properly displayed, properly stored, 200 years plus on a pigment-based printer. Okay, now the next thing, number two, we have to look at the advantage of a pigment-based inks over dye is the color fastness. And basically that means you're not going to get the shifts. Your colors are going to look the way they should, and they're not going to shift as over time, at least to a very small degree compared to a dye-based printer. So you're going to get better color, and it's going to last, so that in 50 years from now when somebody's looking at that, it looks relatively the same. Whereas if you had a dye-based print, 50 years from now, it would be very hard for that print to look as good as it did 50 years previously. And basically, maybe it's possible with the dye-based, but you'd have to have a low temperature display area. You'd have to have it properly behind like UV protected glass, or in an album that's UV. There's a lot of more things that are going to affect it, and the pigments are just going to hold up better than the dyes are to a large degree. Now the third thing relates to both the other two, and that's money for you. If you're a photographer who is selling your prints, a lot of photographers are selling their prints, and you want to sell them for a better money, and also not have customer complaints, you're going to want to have the pigment-based prints using the pigment-based ink. And that is because of the two other reasons. You don't want your customers coming back because the archival quality is not there, or that the color is shifted or color looks bad. The last thing you want is your customer coming back saying, you sold me this print, and it's, you can see it's a dye-based print because 6 months later it looks like crap. So you don't want that. You want to have the pigment-based inks so that it's archival quality, the color is going to be steadfast, and it's going to look good years down the road. The other thing is you can sell them for more by advertising these. It's a legitimate point to put in your description that these are printed on using pigment-based inks with our archival quality inks with good color steadfastness. And you want to make sure too that you're using adequate paper to go with them, because paper is almost equally as important. So make sure you're using good paper that pairs up well with the inks you're using, the pigment-based ones. So there's three reasons, folks, why you would want to choose a pigment-based printer over a dye-based printer. And I think they're pretty self-explanatory as we've gone over them there, but definitely worth spending the extra money on the pigment printer than over the dye printer, especially if you're going to sell your prints. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon with some new articles, some new videos. If you have any other things to add on this discussion about using the pigment-based inks, feel free to leave a comment below. If you'd like to refute it, feel free to leave a comment below. Keep it civil, and we'll talk to you soon. And and as I mentioned before in the last few videos, if you're interested in writing an article for the Art of the Image blog, shoot me an email and let me know. We can definitely do some link backs for you, get you some exposure. The blog and the YouTube channel get a fair bit of views every month, as you can see just by looking at the YouTube stats up in that corner, I guess it is. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll talk to you soon. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com.